Hey everybody, welcome to Love-A-Dram. My apologies, I know I've been gone for a minute, but coming back strong for 2025 with not just a whiskey of the week, but more of a whiskey concept. And that concept that I'm going to talk to you about this week is the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. It's the largest private membership club in the world for whiskey, and it's phenomenal. And don't go anywhere because you're going to want to check this one out. Some amazing stuff coming here. Welcome to Love-A-Dram, Scottish whiskey evangelism. Here we celebrate the finest beverage on the planet, single malt Scottish whiskey. Wouldn't you love a dram? Hey everybody, welcome to Love-A-Dram. I'm Jonathan, and as I said, this week we don't just have a whiskey of the week, we have a whiskey concept. And that concept is a private membership club called the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, or SMWS. This club has been around since 1983. It was founded by a gentleman named Pip Hills. And some of his friends got together in the late 70s and started to explore Scotland and got introduced to single cask whiskeys, which were not a thing back in the 70s at that time. Most people were drinking blended Scotch then. And so single malt was kind of not even a thing. And single cask even less of a thing. So they decided they would go to individual distilleries and purchase individual casks, and they take them back into their warehouse and they mature them. And then they have a tasting panel that meets every week. And when they decide that that whiskey is ready, then they put it into a bottle direct from the cask. They don't water it down at all. It comes right out of the cask at full strength and gets shipped and is delivered right to your doorstep. How amazing is that? I just love it. This club has been so much fun to be a part of, and I've gotten so much out of it. I've only been a member for, I guess, a little over a year or so, maybe 2 years, but I've had a lot of fun and really done as many things with the club as I possibly could. So most of which is buying amazingly good whiskeys. All these whiskeys, as I mentioned, are bottled at cask strength. They come right out of the cask, right into the bottle. They don't dilute anything down. They're not bringing anything down to 46% or whatever it is that they want to market it at. This is full on flavor. So if you want to add water to it, you're welcome to do that to make it to your taste. I rarely will add water, but it's an option. I don't put it aside, but I rarely feel the need to. I really enjoy the full on flavors, especially at full cask strength. What you see in front of you is a whole representation of different distilleries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 5 or 6 different distilleries right here alone. And you notice on the bottles, you won't see any of the distillery names. What you will find is kind of a fun little playful name or a title for each one of their expressions that they release. So that comes up from the tasting panel, and whoever I think gets the drunkest and has the funniest name for it, that's what they end up putting on the bottle, I think. There must be some system that they have. But there's some other information too you can get from the bottle. Right above the name, there's a little number. It's a number dot another number, right? So the first number that you see on the left side of the period is the distillery code. And each distillery that they source from, there's over, I think, 140 in Scotland that they source from. They've also branched out, by the way, into other spirits, including some bourbon, some American single malts, some Armagnac, cognac, and some rum and some stuff like that. But their bread and butter is Scottish whiskey, and that's the main thing. So they will write the distillery code of whichever the distillery it is. And there's a way you can look that information up. It's on Google, or there's an app you can get. Makes it very handy when you're trying to figure out what something is and the flavor that you might get from that. The second number refers to how many different casks they have purchased from that distillery. So in this Glengarry, this was one bottle of 1,128 bottles that they got out of that particular cask. This one here, Distillery 53, I happen to know is Colilla. This is the 428th bottle cask rather, that they have secured from Kolila. And it is one of only 272 bottles that were produced from that. So that's it. It's a very unique, one of a kind, or one of 272 in this case. And each one's going to have different numbers depending on how much they get out of individual cask. So there's a lot of information you can get just from that in terms of the distillery, and you can tell how popular of a distillery that is by how many times they've gotten casks from them. Then of course you have the name of the distillery, as well as some tasting notes that are put on each bottle by the tasting panel, which are also usually very humorous and well written. You also have the age of the whiskey, how long it's been matured. You also can get the date of when the distillation happened, where it was matured, which region, Highlands, Speyside, Islay, Campbelltown, Lowland, which region it's from, as well as the cask types that were used in making that whiskey, from the initial cask and maturing to a finishing cask, if that's a thing. It'll tell you all that information right on each label, as well as the ABV. So once you kind of get used to deciphering these a little bit, it makes total sense. It's not that hard to figure out. And they make it even easier for you, though, because they have a flavor profile system. So they've sort of categorized Scottish whiskey into 12 different general flavor profiles. And so based on what their tasting panel thinks it is, it gets sort of selected into that flavor profile. And there's a color code, color reference that you can use to help you determine whether you like, if you like peated stuff, or you definitely don't like peated stuff, or if you like sweeter things, or maybe things that are a little bit more textured and rich. There's a flavor profile for everybody, I think, and maybe multiple ones. So there's a whole lot that you can learn just from the bottle label itself on there, even though the distillery name is not given. Right? So much more other information is given. So amazing, amazing whiskey. I mean, some of the best whiskey I have is SMWS bottles, without a doubt. It's always phenomenal. And depending on the mood you're in, you might want to choose a red label or a green label or a blue label, whatever suits your fancy at that particular time. So incredible whiskey. One of the things that I'll mention too that they do, I really like, are these things called a distillery dive. So here's an example of one. This is a recent one I just purchased. This is from distillery number 80. Number 80 is a Speyside distillery called Glen Spey. And these are identical bottles in every way except for the maturation process. Both of them are 15 years old. Both come from the same distillery, captured at the same time. And one was matured in Oloroso, and one was matured in Pedro Jimenez sherry. That's the only difference. So if you're ever interested to see what those sherry casks will do for flavor, this is a fantastic side-by-side independent experiment with two bottles from the same distillery of the same distillate matured at the same time. Just one put into Oloroso, one put into Pedro Jimenez. And having a little side by side, oh my God, they're so good. It's just amazing, and full cask strength, so you're getting everything you can out of each bottle. It's a wonderful way to sit down and really learn and educate yourself about what components make up your favorite whiskeys and what ones maybe you don't like as much. So incredible whiskey. But wait, if you call now, we'll throw in 4 private members clubs for you too. Right? So SMWS has 4 different private members clubs that you can access as a member. There's 2 in Edinburgh. One's in Leith. That's the original one. The Vaults. That's sort of like the mothership, the home of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. That's in Leith. The other one's over on Queen Street, so sort of more down central Edinburgh. There's also one in Glasgow and one in London. So 4 private members clubs where you can go in, and these places are beautiful, beautiful buildings, gorgeous on the inside. An insane collection of SMWS bottles of whiskey. Many of them also, I think, have food. I've been to 2 of them. I've been to the Edinburgh one on Queen Street, and I've been to the Vault. I'll get to all of them one day. Yeah, a lot of fun. I've never thought of myself as being, going into a private members club for anything. It's not really my style, but I got to tell you, it was a lot of fun to walk in there and feel like you kind of belong. And it was, the Vaults was super cool. It was not pretentious. The Queen Street one, guys are a little bit full of themselves, I thought, but I really like the non-pretentious aspect of it, where people are just there because they like whiskey, they like flavor, and they don't need to be in an ascot and a bowler hat or whatever, So it's a lot of fun. You can talk to people, sit there and have great conversations about whiskey, about whatever. The Vault was great. They had fantastic food there. Sujata and I celebrated our trip to Scotland there, and that was, just such an amazing experience. So those are 4 private members club. That also comes with your membership. There's also partner bars all around the world. There's one in DC called Jack Rose, which is a fantastic bar. If you haven't been there, it's worth a trip to DC alone just for that. Outstanding selection of whiskeys in general, but of the SMWS ones too, fantastic. They also have a monthly magazine that's really informative. It's called Unfiltered, and it's just, so much about what's going on in the whiskey world and what's going on with, different distilleries and processes. It's very informative, and it's a fun read. So lots of benefits. The cost, first year is $100 to join. It may be a little bit prohibitive for some people, but you have access to so much amazing whiskey. You can't buy this whiskey in liquor stores or anywhere else. You have to be a member to buy it. That $99 membership grants you access to all of this. The next year, it's only $75, and going forward, I think it's $75 after that. Excuse me. So that's really the only downside, as I see it. You have to pay a membership fee, but what club worth its salt doesn't have a membership fee? Let me think. Anyway, the value for money is definitely there. I mean, yeah, you're going to be spending, for bottles like this, you can spend anywhere from $100 on up to a couple $100 a bottle, several $100s a bottle. So there's something for everyone at a price point, but most bottles are starting upwards of $100. But you're getting cask strength whiskey, so this isn't 43%. This isn't watered down. This is full on. Plus, you get access to all the members clubs, all the other things that come with that. So there's a lot of benefits to membership. I really see the value in it. I love being a member of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, yeah, some of my favorite things. Wonderful whiskey experiences, and if flavor's your focus, do check out SMWS, Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. So thanks very much for tuning in, and I look forward to bringing you another video very soon. But in the meantime, hope you're all staying healthy and well, and getting through the winter here. And I raise a glass to everybody. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. Please take time to subscribe and like and leave a comment. I think that helps things. But anyway, pour yourself a nice dram and enjoy. Sláinte.